Where the hell is this going if I'm not on the screen? That's what drives me. Oh! Could it be? Could it be? It's nothing on the screen, though. What is going on here? Well, am I actually visible? Holy criminy. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Night on the Internet. I wonder what this looks like on Rumble, because Rumble, you pop in, you pop out, you pop in, you pop out. Of course, can you guys even hear me? I'm assuming you can. I really like this to work correctly for once. Do I need to like reload Streamlabs? Anyway, and now we've got 5 viewers. We had 25 before. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm frozen on that screen. And sound and vision, don't touch anything. There you go. Well, I don't know why it's my monitor, it's not moving. So it's even hard to tell. Oh, there we go. Is this it? Here, hang on a second. Let me, I'm going to unmute myself. Before. Oh, there you go. All right. So there you go. No Rumble, huh? Well, it's just going to be what it is because I'm tired of futzing around with this. My goal today was talking about why did these people not know that Joe Biden is in the condition he is? So like a lot of people, a lot of Democrats in particular, but a lot of people, pundits and whatever, are all acting like they are just, surprised, shocked. They're shocked, I tell you, that Joe Biden is a vegetable. And I'm wondering how that is. How could they not have known? We've all of us who pay attention have known it since he started to run for president back in 2020. Because when he started running for president, remember how all of a sudden, first of all, Trump gave him the nickname Sleepy Joe. And during the campaign, he didn't really leave his house that much. He was in his basement and he did videos and he the other thing they used to do, what did they used to call it when he would stop for the day? They called it, what do they call it? Not a pause. They called it a lid. They would put a lid on the day. They would put lids on the day early, all the time, right? And you'd think that would have given some people a clue. Why is he always ending his day so early? Because he's old and he's decrepit and he was already sundowning back in 2020. But all during his entire presidency, he's had all these gaffes, all these things. They started using the word stutter. They started saying all this other shit. And, the most recent was the cheap fakes. I mean, they've been lying about his foibles since he was vice president, in fact. And all of a sudden, my audio's in German, that's funny. All of a sudden, these people are surprised that one debate performance where he showed up exactly how the rest of us have already been seeing him. And they're acting like it's a surprise. Oh my God, we got to get him to drop out. Oh no, we're going to lose because he's a vegetable. And the idea that you all didn't know, and I'm not talking about you, my audience, you all, the other you all, all those people back there behind you who have the shocked face. What are we going to do? Are we going to get him to drop out? Are we going to do this? Are we going to have Kamala? Are we going to have Gavin Newsom? What do we do? Oh my God. Because Biden can't talk. He's a disaster. He's had disastrous debates, and now all of a sudden we're seeing that these cheap fakes, oh my God, those might have been real. Well, they're video. You should have known they're real. You've interviewed him. But they've all been taped. He always talked about having a list. Oh, they have a list of people to call on because they were handling him. And you all didn't know it. How did you not know? That is the question. And I got a really good answer to that we're going to go through. But then I also have an apologist for the media that we're going to go through. And everything else I was going to go through, I'm not going to go through because I don't have time because I fucking computer. But I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate it. Let's say hi to the people here on YouTube. I know that, gosh, who was first today? It was Mike Savage. Mike Savage, you get the bell. You were here. Blarg. Also, welcome back. Somnambul Nation, Kara Soldier, Attack Alpaca, Avocatus Diabli. Hello, JB. Did I already say Zed? Zed the Snarky's here. I said Somnambul Nation, JB. Maddie's in the house. How you doing, Maddie? Number one is here. Lord Stanhope, TC's. That's about everybody. Maybe people will show up, maybe they won't. I appreciate those of you who have stuck with me today. This has been a rough morning in the technology. It's been a rough month in the technology department. One of these days I'll have enough money to buy a computer, but whatever. I fix this computer. Do something. I need it. I don't know what I need to do. I need to get my son. He's kind of an expert in that area, but he lives in Denver, so that's hard. By the way, I've had 101 new subscribers over the last 28 days, and actually in the last 2 weeks, and that's mostly due to the little short videos I do. If you've seen any of the shorts, those have worked out well for me, so I'm going to keep doing more of those. And again, I apologize. Well, if those of you sometimes watch on Rumble, obviously I'm not there, so some of you wouldn't even know I'm not there, but that's okay. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's see if I can get Streamlabs to work. By the way, I was locked out of Streamlabs this morning. I don't even know why. I think I know why though. The credit card that I used for my monthly subscription to Streamlabs, I got a new one and it had a different number. And I think the billing was messed up. And today was the day that they finally figured out that the billing was messed up. So they blocked my multi-streaming capabilities and my cloud bot and all that. Has anyone seen Johnny Boomer Tech yet? Has Johnny Boomer Tech showed up? He may not have. Let's see. Okay, that's good. That's there. Let's see. Cloudbot. Johnny Boomer Tech should have shown up at least once or twice so far. Yeah, it's on. So anyway, Johnny Boomer Tech taking care of the notifications and things. Thank you, Johnny Boomer Tech. So anyway, let's get into. I want to get into this one article. I'm not going to go through. There's trending topics. I'm not going to go through them. There's a whole, I have tons of articles open too. So if you want to check out the articles that I was going to try to get to today, well, good. But I want to get to this very first thing that is important. Wait, did I, and I don't have, okay, I did reset that. Okay. And then now Brave just completely tanked out. So I don't even know if you can hear me. You can probably still hear me. I just can't see what's going on for a couple seconds here. So give me a second. I definitely need a processor. Probably need to get a larger drive just because my SSD is almost full. And it's only I only have like a 500 gig SSD. Or no, it's not even that. I think it might be a 250 or whatever. So definitely needs to get a new drive. Definitely needs to get a new processor. That's probably would solve my problems. Even though I don't have a super high end GPU unit, it seems like once the stream goes, it processes just fine. It's the other stuff that is taking up resources on my computer that are making it very unresponsive, and it's pissing me off right now because the article I wanted to read I can't see, nor can I see the chat. I suppose I could cheat and pop out a chat here, but on this thing. But anyway, in the meantime, while I'm waiting for this to refresh, which it will eventually, I hope. Why is this not responding? This is just insane. This is killing me. I saw something until I get back to the topic. I saw something this morning on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. Oh, here it goes. Never mind. There it is. Okay. Everything's refreshing now. Gotta tell you, my frustrations are quite pronounced right now. Oh my God, what is this? Okay, that's in the wrong place. The bulwark. Why do I have that open? Nothing. Okay. I just want to smack somebody right now, and probably myself. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Soundable Nation, for tweeting out the other show that showed up. I'm just tweeting. I can't even. Oh my God, I'm so frustrated right now with this shit. Okay, there. We'll repost Maddie. Thanks to those of you who have posted the show. It's a little bit disappointing. I know. So let me do this. I can't even open the damn article that I wanted to read. Here it is. All right. This is a great thread that was on Twitter. I'm linking the thread reader thread so you don't have to go through 600 posts or tweets or whatever to see it. Let's hope. Oh, good God. This is not working either. Okay, there we go. All right, there it is. All right, here we go. This is when I wrote this, the title to this stream. Wait, what the hell? It worked for a second. And now, there we go. When I made the title of this stream, how did you not know? I came across this thread, and I think it's very, very well written for those message to those Democrats and independents, and even people on the right who don't pay attention all the time. Hello, Darren Root, Green Badger Outdoors. Darren, I didn't notify you because I've been going through a lot of hell right now. I had to restart the entire, show. So it's not that you probably are just now getting the notification. And so I apologize for that. For all those independents and Democrats who are shocked, and I mean shocked, by the performance of Joseph Rahim Biden in that recent debate and everything that you're starting to hear from Democrats ever since about, oh my God, is he going to make, can he do the thing? Should he be running? Should he drop out? Blah, 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 blah. All of you are shocked about that. This thread encapsulates pretty much how I feel about you. Okay? And I don't mean you as that you're good or bad people, nothing. Just the reasons that you don't know or didn't know about Joseph Rahim Biden and his issues with his sundowning, with his seemingly dimension-like abilities. Okay? So we're going to go through it, and then I might just end the show there. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, stop speaking in German in the chat. You're fucking me up. Here it is. So this is by someone named Tracy Beans. She is a journalist, and I think there's a site called DC Muckraker that she's involved with. There's a couple different places that she's involved with, but she's a journalist. This is a message to Democrats and independent Americans. We understand how you feel. Let's talk human to human. You've been through it the past few weeks, and you and I both watched the debate. You saw the condition that Joe Biden is in. Now, the real question you need to be asking right now are, why didn't you know this already? Why is this a shock to you? Why hasn't the media reported this? You are probably shocked and stunned right now at the people who you trusted suddenly turning on the president. You let these pundits and journalists into your home every night. You counted on them to tell you what was happening. More importantly, you trusted that they were. Now that they seemingly overnight have done to a complete 180, you are rightfully confused. Why are they attacking the only man standing between democracy continuing and the abject authoritarian end to the country we've been told will come if the other guy wins? After all, they have told you for years that the other guy represents an existential threat to all we hold dear. Everything's at stake here, and all of a sudden they seem to be throwing it into the fire. I'd be pissed too. I was pissed. I went through this. May I gently suggest that we take a breath and a step back to evaluate some things. Now, you should be pondering who the media works for right now. You should be pondering whether they work for you to give you accurate information so you can make informed decisions, or if they work for someone else whose interests don't align with yours. Now, our side's media, they're not much better. And truthfully, there really should be sides. But because we opened our minds a bit and embraced independent journalism, many of us have been able to see the problem that Joe is facing for a very, very long time. I'm sure you all likely would have wanted the opportunity much earlier to choose a different candidate. Let's not get it twisted. I know many of you are not voting for the same guy I am going to vote for, and that's okay. However, I think we need to take this opportunity to reform the system so that this can't happen again to any of us. And I also think you need to seriously take a step back and start to ask what else they may have lied to you about. Now, just as early as a few weeks ago, the White House press corps and the press secretary were saying that videos of Biden acting exactly like he did during the debate were something called cheap fakes. So if they were willing to lie to you about something so pivotal that it literally risked the security and safety of our country, what else have they lied to you about? Hear me out for a minute. Is it possible, not probable, they lied to you about Russia? Is it possible, not probable, they lied to you about COVID? Is it possible, not probable, they lied to you about the border, the economy, the jab, unemployment? Now, if they are willing to have lied about this, what else have they lied about? They are jeopardizing the election of one of the one man in the position to stop the destruction of the country in your eyes. Let's be frank. The media and whoever holds their puppet strings have been lying to you for years now. They have kept you in fear. They have doubted your intelligence. They have parroted someone's talking points, and you believe them. Now, I am under no illusion you will change your mind politically, and frankly, I'm okay with that. Everyone is entitled to their own decisions. However, I do think the media that has turned on you has kept us separate and hating each other for a long, long time now. Is it possible they have lied to do that? I'm just saying that if you answered yes to any of these questions, if your world is seemingly upside down right now, if you don't know who is telling the truth and who is lying, that maybe you could take a bit of time and reevaluate the standards you place on your media and your administration. Don't let them continue to puppet you the way they've tried for decades. Take your power back. Reevaluate everything you have been told under this new lens. I get it. Trust me, I do. But I am a firm believer that we not make good decisions without good information. And as you are finding out right now, you don't have it. So maybe it's time to stop giving your power away to people who think you are stupid and hate you. Maybe you should break free and take your power back. Maybe it's time for a reckoning. We can agree to ideologically disagree, but this we should fundamentally agree on. I have faith in you. Good luck and Godspeed. I could not have written anything better than that. I got to be honest with you. So, the big problem is throughout the Biden presidency, they've been lying to you and telling you, everything's hunky-dory. But what I don't really understand, this is just me talking. I'm done. That's the thread. That was a brilliant thread. It's in the links today. What I've never understood during this entire time, because they're acting like they're so shocked. They're so shocked they can't believe it. Except, and by the way, I do have an article about an apologist article too. Where's the Kathy Young one? Here it is. We're gonna go through someone who's saying the media didn't hide it. Well, somebody hid it and you went along with it. So if you went along with it without prying into it, then you hid it. So I look back at things though, and who do you blame? Who's complicit in this? Well, those times when Joe Biden would say, when he's like talking to reporters, he'd have a press conference, right? And usually a press conference is just like, by the way, do you know that they're going to have what they call a big boy press conference coming up, right? They've scheduled, I got to figure out when that is, where he's going to have an actual press conference. Now, my experience so far in the Biden presidency is every time they've had a press conference, he usually comes out with a little note card with a list of people that he's allowed to call on. Remember that? He said, I have a list of people I'm going to call on. And then he'd call on those 5 people and then wouldn't take any other questions. That's interesting. If you are one of the people who are involved in his, that phrase, I have a list of people I'm going to call on, you are complicit. Because those are spoon-fed questions to the media. Remember the other day, I didn't tell you about this, but hi, ZZA. It's nice to see you back. I remember the other day, there was some reporters, we talked about this, from some black radio stations. Biden arranged some phone interviews after the debate with some, predominantly black people, black radio stations that black people listen to, and black women are the interviewers. And one of the ladies in that who did one of those interviews was being interviewed, and she said that the White House arranged the interviews and gave them a list of questions to ask the president. They gave him a choice of 8 questions, and they chose 4 of the questions and they asked the president. And it was a call-in interview, so Biden obviously wasn't on, didn't have his face on the screen, so he could just sit there and read the notes and read it right off his little notes there in front of him without anybody knowing. By the way, that woman for that radio station, she was fired. She was fired. Now, it's funny because I think it was it Jake Tapper, I think, had a little diatribe on X, which if you want to look Jake Tapper up, where he was saying, well, yeah, because that's a violation of journalistic standards. That's not why she was fired. She was fired, in my humble opinion, because she told the truth. She let the cat out of the bag that Joe Biden gets prepared questions and he has prepared answers for those questions. So anyone complicit in those prepared questions answered, you are complicit. Anyone at 60 Minutes, the TV show 60 Minutes? If you were involved in a recorded interview and you were an editor on one of those interviews, whether it was for 60 Minutes or any other of the interviews that Joe Biden's done during his presidency, because he almost never does live interviews or unedited interviews. If you were involved in an edited interview with Joe Biden, particularly you, 60 Minutes, because you did that one, and boy, that was edited to the hilt. If you were involved in an edited video interview with Joseph Rahim Biden, you are complicit because you know how that interview really went before you went out and did the editing. If you are a journalist and you've been covering the fact that the House of Representatives Select Committee on the Weaponization of Government or whatever, not even that. Not the Judiciary Committee. Excuse me, the Judiciary Committee. When they have subpoenaed some records from Merrick Garland, and Merrick Garland refuses to give them up, regarding Joe Biden's interview with Robert Hur. Remember the special counsel on the documents case for Joseph Rahim Biden? And the House of Representatives, the Judiciary Committee, it wants to hold Merrick Garland in contempt because although they have released the transcript of the Robert Hur interview, the interview which was recorded, they are requesting the full audio recordings of the Robert Hur interview. And Merrick Garland and the Justice Department refuses to give those up, citing something about national this and that, national security, whatever. If you're a journalist and you are not yourself questioning why they would give up the transcripts but not the actual audio recordings of those videos, you are complicit. You are one of the reasons that nobody knows, because you're not demanding transparency from the White House. If you are one of those media people during the campaign of Joseph Rahim Biden in 2020 who wasn't questioning why the man running for president of the United States would put a lid on his campaign at 2 p.m. for a couple days, and you weren't howling mad that you weren't getting able to question him, you are complicit. You are the reason people don't know. Now, I could go on and on and on because there have been all those so-called cheap fakes. If those were cheap fakes of Donald Trump, do you think the media would be playing them over and over and over and over again? Remember when Donald Trump was carefully walking down the ramp because the ramp was slippery, so he was walking down the ramp slowly, didn't want to slip, and the media played that over and over and over. Like, what the fuck's that about? It's funny that the media doesn't do that with Joe Biden. But again, as we learned from Time Magazine, in January of 2021, the media, they did their job, according to Time Magazine, of getting Joe Biden elected. Hello, Jerry Album Israel. Nice to see you. A new person in the chat. So now, I haven't looked at this article yet, and I'm gonna. This is gonna be interesting because Kathy Young is a person who used to be. I don't know if she's a Republican or not, but I know she used to be on the conservative media, right? But now she is one of these never Trump people. And for whatever reason, she has decided she's supporting Joseph Rahim Biden. And she has written an article in which my understanding is that she is saying that the media did not hide Biden's aging. And I want to see what kind of hoops she jumps through to come to this conclusion. If Streamlabs will start working again. There we go. So here we go. She has an article. She wrote, she's a never Trumper. She's pseudo-conservative, journalist who is absolutely never Trump. She writes for the Bulwark, which is, is that, who runs the Bulwark? I can't remember who runs the Bulwark, but anyway, she's part of that group. She may as well be Lincoln Project, but they're not as extreme as Lincoln Project, but they're definitely pulling for Joe Biden. So here it is. Did the media hide Biden's aging? Now this is going to be good. Her subheadline here is "Don't buy the bogus narrative. Reporting on Biden's mental acuity wasn't hard to find." Really? How? Now, this is hilarious because I'll bet you donuts to dollars that she'll cite like a recent New York Times or Wall Street Journal article, but nothing goes back to 21 or 22, I bet. And his issues started before the election. We all saw it. I don't know how anyone didn't see it. Jerry, yes, Jerry, Trump is coming back in 2024 now. Yeah. All right. So here we go. This is Kathy Young. She's she's a never Trumper type. Let's see. I'll just leave it the way it is. I was going to enhance that, but I'm not going to. Here we go. Ever since the June 27th presidential debate imploded the Democratic narrative that Joe Biden's age is a non-issue, we've seen a flood of reports on the president's cognitive problems, some describing incidents and encounters going back years. This in turn has provoked questions about why these stories are only surfacing now. Not everyone is asking in good faith. On the Democratic side, some zealous partisans continue to insist that everything is fine, the building's not on fire, and that anyone discussing Biden's problems is helping fuel the media-driven feeding frenzy that aids Donald Trump. Oh no! On the Republican side, and in some ostensibly nonpartisan heterodox spaces, a chorus of commentators is eager to make the opposite case, that the media are in the pocket of the Democrats. Okay, I'm gonna try to do it. That the media are in the pocket of the Democrats and are either deliberately covering up Biden's health problems and declining mental acuity until they no longer could or chose to look the other way. Now, this is okay. So, not only did they choose to look the other way, they specifically told you to look the other way. That this is a nothing burger, that this was a stutter, that this was cheap fakes. Okay, let's see where she goes with this. On Fox News, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee suggested that the alleged media cover-up validated Trump's slam at the press as the enemy of the people. In a long tweet, hedge fund manager Bill Ackman, who recently announced his support for Trump, wrote that the media deserve far more derision and scorn than Democrats for keeping Biden's problems under wraps. Well, because Democrats are doing their job. The media is not the job of the Democrats. 60 Minutes knew. New York Times knew. This is CNN knew. MSNBC knew. Left-wing media have had a total and complete access to the president, his staff, and his administration. They all knew, but they told you otherwise. They outright lied to you. I'm trying to see what he got wrong there. Now, she puts in parentheses, the notion that these outlets had total and complete access to the president would come as a surprise to their reporters and producers. Right. I'll agree with her there. Because his staff, they shooed him away. And the media did not force their hand until now. So maybe that's the problem. The media seemed rather incurious about it. They would see it, them being shuffled away, but they were incurious about it. Anyway, let's see what she says here. Said because comes as a surprise to their reporters and producers whose relationship with the Biden White House was often notoriously adversarial. More on that shortly. Adversarial, not in public. Not in public, maybe in private. Maybe you complained, well, why can't we get an interview? Why can't we? There's no access to the president because they were shielding him and they let it happen. Elon Musk weighed in with his own more laconic take. Quote, the legacy media are just propaganda puppets. X has the truth, he tweeted, commenting on a video compilation that showed Democratic spokespersons and partisan pundits, not journalists, with a claim of objectivity. She's distinguishing between the two? God, goodness gracious. Reciting talking points about Biden's sharpness. Barry Weiss's post-debate commentary on her site, The Free Press, was headlined, quote, they knew, end quote, and declared that the debate was a catastrophe not only for the Biden campaign, but for an entire class of experts, journalists, and pundits who have since 2020 insisted that Biden was sharp as a tack, on top of his game. She too linked a video that features political operatives, openly partisan pundits such as economist Paul Krugman. One Free Press columnist, culture critic Kat Rosenfield, tweeted a somewhat more measured comment accusing the press of ideologically driven incuriosity. How are you doing? How is she going to dispute this? And the tweet here, spitballing here, I don't think the current crisis, read Biden's cognitive state, would have been possible if media folk had not spent the last 8 years rallying en masse around the idea that basic journalistic curiosity is a right-wing talking point. In fact, she continues, the Kathy Young here, wait a minute. In fact, the media was covering for Biden all this time narrative doesn't hold water. To see why, let's take a close look at some of its claims and assumptions. A few words of preface before digging in. Media criticism, including criticism of media bias, is a time-honored genre. I have contributed to it myself, but I am above the fray now. She added that last part. And one arguably important to the well-being of our democracy. There is little question that journalists working in the elite media have long skewed disproportionately liberal, at least she's admitting it, though this imbalance was usually expressed not in conscious partisanship so much as a tendency to assume that liberal or progressive views are a default neutral position. All this has been complicated in recent decades by the rise on the right of influential conservative media outlets, the vapors, some of which have become disturbingly cozy with Donald Trump. And on the left of a new generation of progressive journalists who often see the advancement of social justice as a part of their professional mission and frown on the expression of hurtful opinions, aka opinions they don't agree with. In this year's presidential election, there are compelling reasons beyond partisanship to favor Biden over Trump. That's her opinion. But that hardly translates into a knee-jerk impulse to cover for Biden's diminished capacity, especially before April 2023, when Biden formally announced his run for a second term. More aggressive coverage of his aging-related problems would almost certainly have left the Democrats in a much stronger position today with a more viable candidate. Well, then, wait a minute. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? They've avoided it. Now, they could claim the reason they avoided it was for national security reasons. We don't want people to know that our president is a demented old sundowning, shitbag. But whatever. Was the coverage good enough, she asked. Obviously not. As many journalists now acknowledge, how noble of them. But the reasons are many and complicated, from the Biden staff aggressive access policing, notwithstanding Bill Ackerman's overwrought fantasies, news organizations like the New York Times complain vociferously about the lack of access, to fear of reader backlash, to, yes, fear of electing Trump. Oh no. As former Time executive editor Jill Abramson suggested to Semaphore. And to claim that the coverage was non-existent or barely existent simply doesn't correspond with the facts. For that matter, some of the material touted as evidence of media collusion and cover-up undercuts that narrative. Take a video supercut linked by Weiss, in which various talking heads defend Biden's acuity. It shows at 1:36 Democratic political strategist Kai Kamarandri complaining that Americans and reporters in the media are just judging Biden by his physical appearance, and it's horribly unfair. What? How does that undercut the narrative? The complaint about the media's supposed speculation about Biden's age and competence is even in the MSNBC Chiron. Some DC reporters ditch reporting rules to speculate and question Biden's age and competence. What was the date on that report? How Oh my God. So they spent that's because they were defending Biden against that charge. Here's one example of how the media treated an episode relevant to Biden's age and mental fitness, one that many see as an early alarm bell. In September 2022, during a White House conference on hunger, Biden called out Representative Jackie Walorski, a Republican congresswoman from Indiana who had worked on anti-hunger legislation. "Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie?" In fact, Walorski had been killed in a car crash nearly 2 months earlier. At the time, Biden had issued a statement expressing shock and sadness at her death and reportedly made a condolence call to her family. His scripted remarks for the event mentioned the tragedy as well. The disturbing lapse was covered, among others, by the New York Times, the Washington Post, USA Today, NBC News, National Public Radio. Biden Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was grilled about it by reporters from mainstream news organizations. A few days later, it was the lead in a column by Washington Post editorial writer and columnist James Hohmann, which made a worrying observation that Biden wasn't doing much campaigning for Democratic candidates in the midterm elections, and that, given the Walorski gaffe, this might have been the best strategy. Because, look, this might have been the best strategy. Yes, because oh my God, because they knew, but they didn't want to tell the truth. Why? But yes, one person mentioned it. Yes, one person mentioned it. In October, Post columnist Megan McArdle, who is admittedly on the right side of the Post editorial lineup, but still a part of the media class and a 2020 Biden voter, also cited this incident in a tough column discussing Biden's fitness. In November, it was mentioned again in a long Post piece on the age issue as Biden contemplated another run. While the article mentioned right-wing media channels flogging the story, it also quoted Democratic voters who were not sanguine about the president's ability to serve another term. A year later, in September 2023, the Post ran several more articles on the topic. While they focused mainly on polls showing that age was an issue for the electorate, the reporting also acknowledged real problems. Yeah, so every time they mention age, what is the obviously the White House is going to support Biden, but what did a lot of the media do? What they do is they say, well, what about Trump? That's what their answer to questions about Biden's age is, what about Trump? Rather than discussing, well, why are you asking about Biden's age? Well, maybe because age in Biden's case is a debilitating factor, where it's not so much in Trump's. So it's not the age, it's the decrepitness. I remember that word I came up with yesterday, decrepitness. Because I know 90-year-old, man, when my grandmother, holy moly, when my grandmother was 95, okay, my grandmother lived to be 101. When my grandmother was 95, Woo, the things she could rattle off, whether it was current events or about the history of our family or anything. She was sharp. They kept saying Biden was sharp as a tack. No, Biden was about as sharp as a marble. My grandmother would have made a great president because she knew everything. But then by the time after about her 100th birthday, things went downhill. She died at 101. So it's not your age, it's your decrepitness. And Biden's decrepitness is creeping in right now. It has been for 3 or 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. So anyway, a year later, in September 2023, the Post ran several articles on the topic. While they focused mainly on the polls showing that age was an issue for the electorate, the reporting also acknowledged real problems. Quote, Biden's gait can be stiff, and his physical and verbal stumbles have at times given his critics material. Yeah, that's the only reason that's a problem, because it gave his critics material. One House Democrat who spoke on the condition of anonymity to offer a candid assessment of the Biden candidacy said he has heard concerns among fellow members as well as major Democratic donors about whether the president can sustain a grueling campaign and another 4 years in office. Yeah, they brought it up, and they all decided, yes, he can. Oh my God, was that so too close to yes, we can? On September 12, 2023, one of the paper's leading columnists, David Ignatius, wrote a blunt column urging Biden to bow out of the race even as he praised the president's record. New York Times also gave the question of Biden's age and mental fitness plenty of coverage, particularly after the special counsel Robert Hur's report released on February 8th of this year, which mentioned Biden's self-presentation as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Oh! What were they all saying about it, though? They were pissed off that he said that. They said, that didn't need to be in the report. They were all yelling and screaming that was a superfluous line in the report that should have never been there. All the Democrats are screaming and bitching and moaning that he actually put that in the report. And then they wouldn't give up the video of the interview. They gave up the transcript, but not the video. Because maybe if you saw the video of the interview, you would know why his presentation was a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. You would know exactly why. Yeah, you can read a transcript, but a transcript isn't going to be as illuminating as the actual video of the interview. And they don't want you to see that, because then you would see a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. On February 9th, an editorial used startlingly strong language to discuss the challenges of an aging president, citing polls that showed a remarkably broad swath of the American public doubting his ability to serve another term because of age. Now remember, the people who are feigning shock and dismay and calling for him to step down or whatever, it's not just these columnists, although many of them are, but it's also all these Democrats who have been around him, who've been in meetings with him, who've been at conferences with him, who've watched him constantly. They all knew, but now they're finally admitted it because it smacked them across the face like a penis in a Stormy Daniels movie. Quote, Biden's performance at his news conference on Thursday night was intended to assure the public that his memory is fine and argue that Mr. Hur was out of line. Instead, the president raised more questions about his cognitive sharpness and temperament as he delivered emotional and snappish retorts in a moment when people were looking for a steady, when they were looking for, I lost my spot. Steady, even capable responses to fair questions about his fitness. Mr. Biden's allies are already going to the usual Washington playbook of dismissing the special counsel's report as partisan. Regardless of Mr. Hur's motivation, the details that he presented spoke to worries voters already had. The president has to reassure and build confidence with the public by doing things that he has so far been unwilling to do convincingly. As it stands, he has had less substantive, unscripted interaction with the public and the press than any... What? Oh, less. I was going to say, he has had less substantive and unscripted interaction with the public and the press than any other president in recent memory. The combination of Biden's age and his absence from the public stage has eroded the public confidence. He looks as if he's hiding, or worse, being hidden. Well, that's great. Somebody actually mentioned that. That still doesn't tell you why suddenly George Clooney is calling for him. Oh, by the way, I gotta get to George Clooney too. How much is this left? There's a lot. Oh, there's a lot left. You get the idea. Okay, so she is going through, and she names a few of these instances where people actually are mentioning this. But even in this one she just mentioned, notice that the gist of this is how, Robert Hur was out of line to put this in his report. And although he, his answering questions wasn't all that great, they're defending him in this article. And 2 Times columnists, Maureen Dowd and David French, also weighed in with hard-hitting articles. Granted, Krugman, in his own Times column, pushed back with a piece that called the age of Führer disgusting, not like the guy with the funny mustache, but madness. A few days later, there was a long audio essay on the subject by Ezra Klein's Times podcast. Yeah, sure, some people mention it, but then others go play cleanup and say, oh, everything's fine. The building's on fire all around us, and I'm that funny-looking little dog cartoon, but everything is fine. Was this the first time the Times addressed Biden's age problem? Nope. The paper ran a tough editorial about it April 22, 2023, 3 days before Biden made his formal announcement. That's because they were trying to get him to not run at that time. That's the other part. That right when they started having the speculation whether or not Biden was going to run again in 24, a lot of these media outlets, which did see some of this, began making the questions about his age and his ability, whatever, right? But then they shut the hell up by the time he said, I'm running. That's interesting. The likelihood of infirmities at Biden's age, the signs of decline, the lack of openness, the refusal to engage the public regularly, the lack of mention of cognitive abilities in his most recent health assessment. The editorial also cited a Times news story from July 2022 discussing the president's growing physical frailty, mental lapses, and lack of unscripted interaction with the public. You know how else we know that the Times was covering Biden's age issue? Because it got endlessly blasted for it from the left, as journalist Joel Mathis noted in his Substack newsletter, because everyone reads that. After the debate in February, the Times bashing over the issue got so intense that political media writer Jack Schaefer felt he had to come to the paper's defense. There was also angry blowback from the Biden White House, as detailed in another story in Politico, which floated the unsubstantiated theory that Times publisher A.G. Schultzberger was amping up the Biden negativity as a vendetta against Biden's refusal to do a sit-down interview with the paper. The claim also got a lot of traction in left-wing haunts like Media Matters. So, okay, so yeah, because they are all starting to notice. But somehow the electorate didn't read all these New York Times articles, apparently. Yet when Weiss acknowledged that notable exceptions in her indictment of media complicity, the only item she mentioned from any major media source is Ezra Klein's Times audio essay. Meanwhile, the Free Beacon's Peter Hassan tweeted that ever since Biden ran against Trump in 2020, the media closed ranks and largely stopped covering Biden's mental fitness, and the stories they did devote to the subject largely consisted of debunking alleged Republican overreach. Largely is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Twice. Well, it usually is something like that. Everything I see when they address it is them saying, oh no, this is not true. This can't be. Oh yeah, this happened, but it doesn't really mean nothing. He's fine. Everything's good. The White House says he's fine. Now, today, the Times bashers on the right, or in the anti-Trump center, cite their Exhibit A, a recent Times story titled "How Misleading Videos Were Trailing Biden as He Battles Age Doubts." Okay, but here's the thing. The videos, such as the one that supposedly showed Biden try to sit down on a non-existent chair or purposely wandering off at the purposelessly drawing off at the G7 meeting, were really misleading. No. Yeah, the one video of him sitting down was titled that he was going to sit on a non-existent chair. But most people interpreted that as that he's sitting down when he really wasn't supposed to be. The one with him wandering off at the G7 parachuting thing, that absolutely was him wandering off. He got distracted by another parachuter who was folding up his thing, and he just wanders off from all the other G7 leaders, and they had to reel him back in. Now, it wasn't that. It was almost worse when you saw the whole thing. Anyway, yes, the uncut videos still showed Biden looking frail and perhaps foggy, but when you deceptively edit a clip, which they did not, guess what? People focus on the deception, and when you flood the zone with deceptive agitprop intended to make a certain point, remember the sick Hillary memes? It's going to make people more skeptical of even legitimate information that leans in the same general direction. Oh my God. It's like an answer for everything. So there's more, but I'm going to finish there because I'm running out of time. I do got to mention though. So George Clooney was trending today, and let me see if I can find that real quick. The reason George Clooney was trending is because apparently, when they had that big Democratic fundraiser a few weeks ago, it might have been, was it after the debate? I think it was after the debate. And George Clooney apparently came forward 3 weeks after the fundraiser to admit that Joe Biden kind of really wasn't there. Let me see if I can find a lot of people talking about George Clooney. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, here we go. Is this it? Oh, and remember, that was one of those, remember when Biden just froze on stage and then Obama got his attention and then kind of let him out by his sleeve? So, let's see. George Clooney, the Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago at the fundraiser, was not the Joe Biden, not the big fucking deal Joe Biden of 2020. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate. So George Clooney said that 3 weeks after that fundraiser. George Clooney publicly asking Biden to step down. He will pay back the $30 million to the donors he conned. Oh, will he pay that? Yeah, because they raised $30 million. Here's Glenn Greenwald. I'll show you this one, if I can get things to work here. So in George Clooney's New York Times op-ed urging Biden to drop out, he says he saw how cognitively crippled Biden was at the Hollywood fundraiser he co-hosted with Obama last month. Now remember, the media accused anyone saying this at the time of being far-right disinformation agent. So this is here's the opinion. But the one battle he cannot win is the fight against time. None of us can. It's devastating to say it, but the Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago at the fundraiser was not the big effing deal Joe Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate. Now, Kathy Young is going to be mad at Glenn Greenwald's next line. The corporate media deliberately lied to the public for years about Biden's mental state. They told Americans what they thought they were seeing wasn't real. Only right-wing liars depict Biden as confused, disoriented, and lost. That's pretty much true that's how they go. So anyway, so now George Clooney is going to get shit from the left. And, that's how it's going to be. Is this Is this right now? Oh, Gunfox. I wish I had time for this. So I'll have to start with this tomorrow. Thank you, Gunfox61, sponsoring the show. Yeah, everything's screwed up here. I'm going to have to restart the computer. Hopefully this all works. By the way, Johnny Boomer Tech did show up. Thank you, Gunfox61. We'll make that the first article tomorrow. I'm going to leave it lit so that I remember to do it. All right, guys. But by the way, Gunfox, you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day, and you will be it tomorrow too to start the show, since I'm not going to get to that today. Anyway, guys, that's all I'm going to go through on the show today. There was all kinds of other stuff that I wanted to talk about, but I have computer problems, so we'll see if we can get those cleared up a little bit by tomorrow. Yes, there's the music for the for the Gunfox donation. So anyway, thanks. I appreciate your patience today. It's amazing, but I do got to go. Hopefully, I can't even get this fucking thing to scroll. I don't know if I'll be able to end the stream. Oh, there we go. All right, I gotta go. Thank you. My name's P-Dog Knight. I'm out of here. Those links will be in the chat eventually sometime today or in the description. Bye-bye. Maybe not, because I'm stuck. I am stuck. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.